Hey everyone, my name's Douvay. I've watched No Way Home twice. I like it, I love it, I want to talk about it. I'm recording this video over a month after it came out, so I will be talking about spoilers. Let's get started. I just want to get most of the issues that I have with this movie out of the way first so that we can talk about what I like about it after. Sandman and the Lizard. I don't get why they're in this movie. I've watched this movie twice and I still don't know what their motivations are. Like, what are they trying to do? So Sandman wants to go back to his daughter. That's his main goal since Spider-Man 3. So if he wants to go back to his daughter, shouldn't he be fighting Electro at the end? Because Electro is trying to destroy the one thing that can bring him back to his family. The Lizard had one line where he said, "When you try to change things, there will be consequences." And then, and then when Peter was fighting with Green Goblin, he came out of nowhere, grabbed Peter, shouted, "I told you there was consequences," and threw him into the building. And he just left and came back for the final fight. It, I still don't know why he's there. And I bring this up because for me, the final fight was pretty underwhelming. In part because you kinda don't care about 2 out of the 3 villains in the fight, at least before Goblin showed up. The fight was also at night, it was pretty dark, you can't really distinguish between the 3 Spider-Man that easily. And I think it's a shame. I think it's a shame that a Spider-Man movie in 2021 could not beat an action set piece that Spider-Man in 2004 could do. It wasn't that memorable to me. It's not even better than Far From Home's fight scene. For me, Far From Home's fight, when Peter just relied on his spider sense, just closed his eyes and relied on his spider sense to beat Mysterio, that was more special to me than anything they did in the final fight of this movie. Another minor issue that I have with this movie, the Green Goblin. He's not the same person as the Green Goblin that we knew in Spider-Man 1. I think that the Green Goblin and Norman Osborn were 2 different people. I thought that my interpretation of the movie, at least, was that the serum really just amplified his darkest thoughts, his darkest impulses. At first, he was like talking to himself in the mirror, like his split personality. But really, as the movie went on, he kind of became one person. But in this movie, they kind of made it differently. They made it seem as if Norman Osborn's a good guy and there is one, you can make an anti-serum to make him good again. I kind of don't buy it. I kind of don't like it. In a sense, again, it's very nitpicky because for what they did in the movie, with him suddenly having that turn, becoming Green Goblin, saying, Norman's on sabbatical, honey. Oh, I loved it. I genuinely loved what they did in this movie with Green Goblin. It was just a bit inconsistent for me with what we had before. And that's it really. Those are my main issues. As you can see, I have no issues with Peter or Doctor Strange's choices because I thought what they did was pretty consistent with their characters. I've waited 2 years to see how Peter would deal with his identity being revealed to the world, which is something I never thought we'd get to see in the big screen. And I thought that overall, they did a pretty good job in the first act of this movie. They really showed the consequences of his identity being revealed. It meant something, you know. It meant something. It wasn't just a nice reveal at the end of the movie to have some shock value to it, and it was just resolved in the first 5 minutes of the next movie. It actually meant something and actually lasted the whole movie because that was the whole point of him having his secret identity to begin with, to protect everyone around him. And it's everyone around him that's in trouble to some degree because of his identity being revealed. And that was why he went to Doctor Strange, and I have no problems with that at all. It wasn't just him, it wasn't a selfish decision. It was a decision made thinking about what he thought was best for those around. If you do want to blame someone though, and I think this is the turning point of the movie when it became just an average MCU Spidey film into a great film. The turning point, the one thing that you can blame Peter on was when Aunt May died, and I loved it. I love that they had the balls to add this in the movie. It's naive at best for Peter to just bring all these supervillains into an apartment with no backup plan in case anything went wrong. I mean, it's not that dumb. They established in the movie that it was in the villain's best interest to follow Peter because Doctor Strange was gonna send them back. Peter was still really just hoping that things would turn out fine. Is it stupid? Sure. But also, this is a guy that when he blew up a ferry in half, he had Iron Man come in and save him. When he was stuck in Netherlands after giving Mysterio the keys to the satellite thing, he could just call Happy and Happy would come and save him and give him a suit and stuff. This is a guy that's never really had to solve his own problems. So it's not that crazy to me that he's still naive. He's never had to do things himself and really deal with the worst case scenarios. It's always, every time he messed up, it will always just turn out fine somehow. It actually made me think of Batman because Batman, I think it was one of the animated films that I watched. Batman has a file on how to defeat every single one of the Justice League, how to defeat his own friends, because that's just how prepared Batman is, you know? He prepares for the most impossible scenarios, like his friends going bad, like Superman going bad, you know? He prepares for how to kill his friends. Who does that? But that's what Batman does. He doesn't trust anyone. And he's the complete opposite of Peter, who's just so trusting. And yeah, I'm not mad. I'm not mad at Peter. I'm not frustrated with the movie because it's consistent with the character that we've known in these three films. And this is an important character moment for him. And then they had the beautiful shot of him standing in the rain on the rooftop in front of the giant screen of J. Jonah Jameson, calling him out, calling him responsible for the deaths. And then there was the close-up of him with the rain falling on his face. It was beautifully done. I love the visual of that scene. Okay, let's talk about the two Spideys. Toby was perfect. Obviously, it helps that we already know him from the three movies, but I think if you just watched him in this movie alone, they showed enough to show that he's the most experienced Spidey because he was able to help not only Tom Holland's Spidey or Spidey 1, I don't know what I'm gonna call them. he not only helped Tom Holland's Spidey but also Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. Okay, but first I love that Toby said that things were complicated with MJ but they were making it work, and you get the sense that it will always be complicated because that was something that even if you ignore Spider-Man 3, which I like to do, I just like to pretend that it ended with Spider-Man 2. The Spider-Man 2 ended with the shot of MJ in the window looking out when Peter jumped out and became Spider-Man. The movie just closed up on MJ's face and she's not really happy. She's kind of thinking, you know, is this how my life is gonna be if I'm gonna be with Peter? So you know it's always gonna be complicated, and it's heartwarming to hear that even though it's complicated, they are making things work. And I did not know I needed to hear that. And Andrew freaking Garfield. I'm biased. I'm sure we're all biased. He's the most established actor of the three. But my god, what a performance, my dude. I don't know how many minutes of screen time he had in this movie, but I just wanted to hug the guy. His character, his Peter, was so good in this movie. Dude made me emotional. Not just the saving the MJ scene, which broke my heart, but also him just describing his pain and him not pulling back his punches. You know how strong Spider-Man is and how he can basically kill anyone if he doesn't hold back his punches. I just like that Andrew's Peter kinda gives up on being Peter Parker. He says that he has no time for Peter Parker stuff. He's really just focusing on Spidey stuff. Because you understand he's really thinking that way because of the pain he's feeling after losing Gwen. And I want to think that him saving MJ at the end of this film and hearing Toby's Peter's advice helps him to grow, move on, recover, and be happy again for once. And maybe we can see that in Amazing Spider-Man 3, who knows? I want to talk about this movie more, but it'll be an hour-long video. There's a lot of things that you can just pick and choose, especially from the second half of the movie, which is great. I think one favorite of mine was when they put the inhibitor chip back in Doc Ock, and he just described it as being quiet, and even that got me emotional because when he describes that with his face and all, you start to think, wow, what has this guy been going through all this time? Fight with Green Goblin in the apartment, top tier. It was brutal. Broke through walls, broke through floors. Yeah, it was great. So much better. Oh, that fight and Doc Ock's fight, and the fight with Doctor Strange. I love them all. I just don't like the final fight in the movie. MJ is great, Zendaya was great. Their relationship with Peter was a strong emotional core of the movie. And the ending works so well because you care about the relationship. This movie had that classic formula where they keep interrupting the couple. They tried to kiss on the rooftop. Ned came in. He tried FaceTiming MJ. Happy was there, interrupting the call. So they kept having these little interruptions, holding it off, holding it back for the final part of the movie where the emotional payoff of the kiss that they had would be the strongest. And it broke my heart because it was done so beautifully. They finally got that kiss, and there was the sunrise in the back, the music and everything. It was done so well. I'm all for those kind of things. I loved it. It was done so well. Yeah, they're so cute together. I'm gonna miss them. I was still kind of hoping that they still be together because Peter promised that he'd go back to them and explain everything. I was still held on to that small hope that will all turn out fine and they can be happy. I just want Peter to be happy. But then he made the stupid, responsible choice of backing off to keep his friends safe. Why are you being responsible now, Peter? Peter's face when he saw that band-aid, he knew it was not gonna happen. He was sad at first, music changed, and then he kinda had a smile, like he's at peace with himself, he's at peace with the decision that he's gonna make to go out that door and never bother Zendaya again. And my sister pointed it out, but MJ was still wearing that broken necklace that Peter gave her in No Way Home, even though she has no recollection of the person that gave it to her. That was just cruel for me. There's no reason to be this sad. I hate it. I hate this movie. It's stupid. You shouldn't watch it. Worst Spider-Man movie of all time. Yeah, that's it for this video. Is this the greatest superhero movie of all time? No, but it doesn't have to be. It had a surprising amount of emotional depth with the big cast that it had in this rich MCU multiverse, and also respecting the Spider-Man multiverse, and it ended in an emotional, beautiful, bittersweet way, and I never expected this movie to be like that. A part of me just wants them to end here because Tobey's Spider-Man didn't have a great ending with Spider-Man 3. Andrew's Spider-Man didn't even have an ending because his movie was cancelled. Tom Holland's Spidey is the only one that has a solid ending. It's kind of like Toy Story 3, where the ending was already perfect. You kind of don't want another movie. I mean, they also made a great movie in Toy Story 4 somehow, so maybe they can make a great sequel. But I would be happy if they just ended Tom Holland's Spidey here, because it's a solid. You get this solid arc already from this 15-year-old kid just figuring out what to do, to No Way Home, kinda really learning about responsibility. It wasn't that great a movie, but then you really get him becoming Spider-Man in the third movie. You can just end it here. End off on a high note. It's a nice ribbon on top of the trilogy. Don't touch it anymore. Go make Amazing Spider-Man 3. Bring back Andrew Garfield. Please, Sony, please bring back Andrew Garfield for Amazing Spider-Man 3. You can make a lot of money from it. You can just hire the writers from Insomniac Spidey, aka the best Spidey of all time. And did I say you can make a lot of money from it? There's no reason not to do it. Please. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye everyone. Peace.